Good afternoon. It's the 7th of August 2022 and you're welcome to Newsbeat on Metro Television. My name is Harriet Adi. This bulletin is live on Facebook, Metro TV Ghana, on Twitter, Metro TV GH, and on DSTV channel 277. Coming up in the headlines. Global rating firm S&P downgrades the Ghanaian economy to CC+ based on its unsustainable debt portfolio. President of Imani Africa, Franklin Kojo, says government's decision to run to the IMF can partly be blamed on fiscal indiscipline instead of the COVID and Russian-Ukrainian war. Petroleum tanker drivers union say they will hold government accountable to the one-month ultimatum given for the outstanding grievances to be fully addressed. And the news from elsewhere, scores of Palestinians killed following a raid by Israeli forces in the Gaza Strip. This and more coming up in the next 1 hour. Welcome to the News Now to our first story. S&P Global Ratings has revised Ghana's rating from B- to CC+, putting the country's creditworthiness into junk status. The rating agency argued that the COVID-19 pandemic and the Russian invasion of Ukraine have complicated Ghana's fiscal and external imbalances, adding the introduction of the e-levy, although good, has little effect on resolving Ghana's economic woes. Demand for foreign currency has been driven higher by several factors, including non-resident outflows from domestic government bond markets, dividend payments to foreign investors, and higher costs for refined petroleum products. Already, the local currency has seen a sharp depreciation in recent times. It's nearing 9 cedis to $1. The CC+ is the worst since 2003. S&P added that Ghana has also been affected by lack of access to the Eurobonds markets. S&P had affirmed Ghana's ratings in February 2022 as Moody's downgraded the African nation to CA1 with a stable outlook. Fitch also downgraded Ghana to B- with negative outlook. Now we have Professor John Gachi, Dean of University of Cape Coast Business School. He is online. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Now, how dangerous is this effort at salvaging what is left of Ghana's alien economy?
Well, I think it makes it more difficult because already you are not having access to the international capital markets. There are developments even within the global economy, the threat of increase in interest rates in London and other parts of the world are also determining very difficult situation for our market access. So this will aggravate the challenges emanating from lack of market access by Ghana.
Now, the report says our creditworthiness is now junk status. What is the task ahead of the finance minister in handling the economy?
Well, the downgrade simply indicates that investors should be aware that Ghana has difficulty in repaying their debt when they fall due. So government ought to demonstrate their ability to the investor community that even with this, they have what it takes to redeem their obligation when they fall due. That is what government should be seeking to do, because that is the essence of the downgrade. Of course, I must also add the downgrade also is a performance assessment of the Ghanaian economy, how it has been managed over the period. What they are saying is that even though you are in a precarious situation, the measures that you should put in place to give confidence to investors, they cannot see those measures in place. So those are the areas government should be paying attention to. The measures are not robust, they don't resonate with the market, and you need to come back again.
Well, the report also says the Ukrainian war and the COVID-19 only worsened Ghana's economy. Does it suggest the arguments about the two external forces affecting Ghana's economy is false?
I think what they are trying to say is that the economy was going down before Ukraine Russian war came in, and that could not be the reason for the downturn of the Ghanaian economy. They admit that it aggravates the precarious situation of the Ghanaian economy. And the danger is, if you are saying Ukraine-Russia war, it means that you are indicating that it is something that is out of your hand. You cannot do anything about it. But in managing the finances of the country, always you need to be ready to provide alternative solutions to deal with whatever is emerging as a threat to the economy. So they don't think that the position of government making reference to Ukraine-Russian war and perhaps COVID-19 is a solution.
Well, the e-levy was to have helped Ghana's economy. It didn't work. What other options apart from the IMF can save us?
Well, there are two things that the e-levy could not satisfy. The e-levy does not provide the prudent and then good governance of our finances that led us to this situation in the first place. So the e-levy is supposed to satisfy the fiscal situation in terms of providing increased revenue. It has nothing to do with the poor governance, fiscal governance practices that culminated into the huge debt, the huge interest payment, and again, unaccounted COVID-19 expenditure and those things, and then expenditures which were not explainable. E-levy is not the solution. So that is outstanding. Then the second one, the e-levy did not also perform. And there are risks to the e-levy. The opposition party says, look, if you are hedging against the payment of your interest when they fall due 2-3 years ahead, I am saying that the e-levy will not be available. So that is a threat to the market. From the political economy point of view, the market could not be sure that the MPP is going to win the 2024 election, for which the e-levy will continue to do what it's supposed to be doing as outlined by the government. So that's the risk about the e-levy itself. Then the second risk is that the e-levy did not perform, and therefore it could not be a solution.
Now, how will this impact on Ghana's quest to secure some support from the IMF?
Well, I think the situation is difficult. That is why government itself is not talking about the outcome of the discussion, the first level discussion in terms of data collection and assessment with the IMF. That means that there are various issues regarding the way the economy is managed, in addition to the proposal to deal with the fiscal situation. And that is a challenge now, because we are not clear whether we are going to deal with a combination of a balance of payment support and dealing with debt restructuring. And this give a better appreciation again to the IMF. In addition to that, it will worsen our bargaining position as we enter or as we continue to negotiate with the IMF. So it makes the country weak in bargaining. It exposes the country further, and it gives some more clearance to IMF as to how to deal with us, what conditions should be placed on us. That is the implication of that.
Now, is this likely to trickle down to prices of goods and services, interest rates, etc.?
So long as we are talking about one of the factors for the downgrade relating to exchange rate performance, and then we're talking also about the fiscal hole, those factors will eventually translate into prices.
All right. Thank you very much for joining us on Newsbeat. We have been speaking to Professor John Gachi, who is the Dean of University of Cape Coast Business School. And we have been talking about the S&P global ratings of our economy from B- to CC+, equally to a junk status. And he has been helping us talk about it, the impact on our economy, on prices ratings, and how the e-levy hasn't really helped us, and it's not really a sustainable product for us. So we will be speaking to my colleague who is on the business desk when we get him. Winston. Now, Winston Taki is on our business desk. Can you hear me, Winston?
Yes, I can hear you.
So from where we have, or where we've come, the ratings, tell us more about it.
I think concerning this rating, it positions Ghana at a very difficult position, considering the fact that the president earlier, when he met at the UN, raised the issue of the impact of the rating on the economy, where currently Ghana is finding it difficult to access finances on the global market, that is the Eurobond market. Our addiction to the Eurobond market over the years has been one of the key issues that analysts have been raising, that if we don't develop our domestic financing strategy, the ratings will definitely come up negatively in the near future. And here we are, where these ratings, CC, C plus, is a very negative one, concerning the fact that our access to financing is a huge challenge. Initially, we were in February rated as being negative, and that indicated that we had a stable outlook in reference to our economy. Then the discussion of e-levy being delayed in the floor of parliament is another issue that raised suspicion as to whether we have the capacity to meet our domestic revenue targets. So these rating doesn't look too good for us as a country currently.
Now, is this the only agency that has downgraded Ghana, that is at past ratings?
This is the first of the many. We will soon be expecting ratings from Fitch and also Moody's in a couple of days, because it's a rating season. Once their date is up, they will definitely release it. But we'll be expecting it from last week. S&P in February affirmed the nation's rating. That is, they affirmed the CCA, that is their structure to indicate that the economy was a stable outlook. The Moody's gave Ghana in February a stable outlook, but based on what S&P has just given, we would kind of project that definitely their rating may also come down, but it depends on the factors that they take into consideration. Currently, we know our debt stock may increase or will increase or has increased because of the $750 million that the government had access to currently. And also the issue with regards to our debt, our reserves at the Bank of Ghana is another factor that we are looking at too. Also, we know that the CD, the currency, hasn't been performing well. It's likely to hit 9 CD in a couple of days, and this is not something that looks good for investors. I had an interaction with a South African investor over the week, and one thing he made mention is the fact that when investors outside the country, outside the continent, intend to make an investment or buy bonds in any government share, they consider the ratings. It's a very critical factor because they don't have enough information in the domestic market. So they assess the ability of the country to repay their debt. So the Fitch who rated Ghana as being negative in February may likely bring it down, because already we have a negative outlook from Fitch perspective. So with this downgrade, there looks like we have a whole lot of work to do to boost confidence in our economy.
Winston Taki, who is on our business desk here at Metro Television. Now, away from global ratings, let's move on to stakeholders in all Ghana's electoral process have raised red flags over the Electoral Commission's move to use the Ghana card as the only acceptable document for continuous registration. According to them, millions of qualified electors could be disenfranchised in the process. There is more in the following document.
The Electoral Commission last month placed before Parliament a draft constitutional instrument seeking to make the Ghana card the sole form of identification for eligible voters who want to get onto the electoral roll. The minority were the first to raise concerns on the floor of the House, describing the move as suicidal.
Even the Electoral Commission is preparing to bring us a CI that is to create a new voters register using a Ghana card. But majority of our constituents today, some of them have registered since 2018. The National Identity Authority is unable to provide them their Ghana cards.
And even the contemplation of the Electoral Commission of Ghana to use it as basis for registration or for the conduct of the 2024 elections makes it a democratic imperative that every deserving Ghanaian has the national ID card. Any failure on their part will throw our democracy in jeopardy.
The Electoral Commission, in a quick rebuttal, argued that the use of the Ghana card for a continuous registration process will save the country millions of cedis. The Commission warned prospective voters to obtain a Ghana card, since that will be a requirement for voting in the 2024 elections. Here is Deputy Director of the Commission in charge of Electoral Services, Dr. Srebo Kwaku.
In 2020, we compiled a new register, so we have around 70 million voters. Now, Ghanaians have been complaining that we spend a lot to compile registers. So why don't we roll out continuous registration? So that when you turn 18, you just go to our office and get your name registered. So what we are doing now is that we have the 2020 register with us. They don't have any issue. But going forward, when anybody turns 18 or anybody who has not registered wants to register, the person will go to our office and he has to prove that he's a Ghanaian with 18 years or above. So I said, and that is when you are going with the Ghana card as proof of your identity, and you'll be added to the existing register.
But the longest-serving chairperson of the EC in the history of the country is urging the Commission to reconsider its decision, as many prospective voters could be disenfranchised due to difficulties in acquiring the Ghana card. He said, quote, Ghanaian citizens don't lose their citizenship if they are 18 years or older but do not have the Ghana card. So the moot question is, why make the Ghana card the only means of identification for purposes if establishing eligibility to register to vote? Meanwhile, government spokesperson Pagri Boache Dankwa says it has become more necessary than ever to use the Ghana card as a source document for the electoral roll.
I've seen the EC conversation around the Ghana card as it relates to new registrants. You're aware that in every election every year there are the younger people who have either turned 18 years during the period of 4 years, or other persons that have never had an opportunity of registering going to pick up their voters register ID card. There's a CI that has been sent to Parliament for Parliament to look into that. I would state that it's very early days. I do not agree with the minority at all that the EC is wanting to juxtapose a rigging of a 2024 general election, for which reason is asking that if persons do not have the Ghana card, they cannot register. I would state very clearly that the EC has shown extreme confidence and integrity over the years of electioneering from 1992.
Away from that, now President of Imani Africa, Franklin Cudjoe, says having people who have registered for the Ghana card re-register for their SIM cards is needless and wasteful. He argued registering for the SIM cards defeats the purpose of registering for the Ghana card.
What we are against is the multiplicity of cards, right?
The fact that you have a driver's license?
Exactly.
And NHIS card?
The good thing, even though with all those cards, is that they could have been intelligently synced.
Okay.
We should not necessarily be having a single card.
But that's what the Vice President has been saying. He said that's the whole idea.
I don't really subscribe to that analogy because I have my passport. I should be able to use my passport to do anything I want in this country.
Okay.
I shouldn't be prevented from using my passport to even vote. As long as those identities are synced together, synchronized in a database, right? So all these databases being collected, probably useful. The only database I do not find useful in collecting is the mobile, which one? The SIM card registration, re-registration.
Re-registration,
It's a totally needless exercise, wasteful, and that data they are collecting will come to naught because they are not going to use it to do anything.
Really?
Oh, come on. It's a total waste of time. Look, if you had your Ghana card, the moment you use those, you sync those numbers in the mobile phone company. Remember, we're supposed to dial a particular number in order to sync our numbers.
Yes.
Another silly application. Wasteful. When is it even up already?
Well, they were supposed to have come
What is all
2 days ago.
I don't even understand. Why are we collecting all kinds of nebulous information? It has collected our biometrics, right?
Yes.
So if you link your mobile phone to the NIA card,
yes,
that's it. If the government wants to find out anything about you,
everything is there.
It's there already.
Now, the Electoral Commission has stated that it will not hesitate to impose sanctions on political parties that do not adhere to legal standards, such as being active across at least 2/3 of the nation. The license will be revoked and the names of non-compliant political parties will be removed from the EC's records as part of the punishment. Speaking on the subject, Hassan Ayariga, the presidential candidate for the All Progress Congress, thinks the EC's exercise will contribute to bringing sanity to the political landscape. Now, we'll bring you visuals of that story later. Now, President of Imani Africa, Franklin Cudjoe, says the Russia-Ukraine war cannot be blamed for Ghana's economic woes. He said if the economy was strong as professed by the government, it would have withstood the shocks of the Russia-Ukraine war and the COVID-19 pandemic, calling for a review of the free senior high school policy and the levy.
Those who watch Ghana have long held the view that we're becoming a basket case way before the Russian-Ukrainian conflict.
Right.
Basket case because our debts were rising. Mm-hmm. Don't forget that the IMF had actually warned in 2017 that we were a candidate for debt overhang, basically. So I call it a debt iceberg. And if the IMF says that your debt is at 84% of GDP, that's not something you can blame solely on the Russian-Ukrainian conflict, because before that conflict, in 2019, we were already slipping, you know. And so, and again, the reasons are not far-fetched, really. They are very close at home. We splurge a lot. We spend too much money in the run-up to the elections.
We've not been fiscally prudent.
Well, we've not been fiscally prudent. We borrowed too much, and I don't think the investments we've made with the borrowings have actually returned the value that we wanted.
Okay.
A lot of it have been largely consumption-driven. So we cannot necessarily blame the Russian-Ukrainian war. What the Russian-Ukrainian war did to us was to expose the vacuousness of the argument that we were solid. We built a solid economy. Because even though we're growing at 7%, this growth was largely on paper. I mean, if the growth had been really real, we shouldn't be suffering the effects we suffered. A lot of the growth we had in 2017, 2018, to last in 2018 were due to John Mahama's investments.
That's interesting.
What we didn't do was to protect those investments with sensible policies and sensible projects.
We'll bring you more after this break. Do stay. Welcome back from that commercial break. Now, as part of his tour of the Upper East region, President Akufo-Addo on Friday commissioned a 37.6 million euro water supply project, which is expected to serve about 350,000 people in the region.
In January 2018, government secured funding from the Netherlands government and the 25 million euro facility from ING Bank, also from the Netherlands, to implement the Upper East Region Water Supply Project. Now completed, the Upper East Region Water Supply System will provide residents of Bolgatanga, Navrongo, Paga and its environs with 20,500 cubic meters of water per day, which is approximately 4.5 million gallons of water per day.
People of Bolgatanga, Navrongo, Paga and its environs with 20,500 cubic meters of water per day, which is approximately 4.5 million gallons of water per day, a threefold increase from the 1.5 million gallons a day currently available to the region.
President Akufo-Addo stressed that his government will continue to provide the needed social infrastructure for communities across the country.
Falls in line with the program of government to achieve the target set under the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal number 6 of ensuring the availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all. Government remains committed to creating an enabling environment through the provision of social infrastructure that will attract businesses to our communities.
He urged residents to maintain the facility.
Away from that, now President of the Ghana National Petroleum Tanker Drivers Union, George Unyonu, says the tanker drivers have suspended their strike as a result of the commitment shown by government to resolve their concerns. He indicated they will call off the strike entirely once their concerns have been addressed. He spoke in an interview on Inside Pages. Now, Communications Manager of the National Petroleum Authority, Mohammed Abdul Kudus, assured the drivers' government's commitment to resolve their challenges, adding the strike could have been avoided.
We probably could have avoided it. It shouldn't have happened, but it happened. We've had the speedy resolution of same. Going forward, probably would be a learning curve for all of us, so that we're able to put in place things that would preempt a possible strike action by any a group of persons or person within the value chain, so that we don't have what we had on our hands again, as it did to us all in Ghana last week. The operators of the system would be in the meeting. The tanker drivers would repeat their issues. They would also give the reason for which the system behaves in the manner that it behaves, so that going forward, if there's a need for us to do a certain re-engineering, that would bring a win-win situation for all of it. It will. So obviously, our meeting on Monday is very critical, and I believe that when we meet on Monday, these discussions would come back again and would have a conclusion on that. But we'll probably be taking it further, because as it is, we have a chief executive who is trying to operate a certain transparent administration, an open door policy as I stated from the beginning. And so we want to not just keep the conversation with the drivers or with the owners. We want to equally keep the conversation with the media, who will be able to feed your public. So at the appropriate time, we'll be bringing you the media to help understand how the system works, so that we all would have the education, and where we need to agree or disagree, we can do that going forward. But I think that the meeting on Monday would actually come handy following the complaints that they are raising.
Away from that, now elders of a Japan family led by Berimo Saibeko, the Obumen Ebusiampin, has called on the overlord of the Dagbon Kingdom, Yana Abukari II, at the Gbewa Palace in Yendi. The call was purposely to inform the overlord of the death of Opinion Samuel Kwame Ajipon, the late father of the executive chairman of Jospon Group of Companies, Dr. Joseph Siao Ajipon, and to invite the overlord to the final funeral rites.
Many prominent people in Ghana have been invited to attend the final funeral rites of the late father of the executive chairman of the Jospon Group of Companies, Dr. Joseph Siao Ajipon, on 10th of September 2022. These high-profile personalities include the President of Ghana, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the former President, John Dramani Mahama, the Asantehene Otumfuo Osei II, and the overlord of the Dagbon Kingdom, Yana Abukari II. On Thursday, a family delegation led by Berimo Saibeko, Obominge Busuapenyin, extended an official invitation to the overlord of Dagbon at Yendi to grace the occasion on the 10th of September in Accra.
I came to the Gbewa Palace this morning to, first of all, inform His Royal Majesty of the death and funeral rites of Mr. Samuel Kwame Ajipon, who happened to be the late father of Dr. Joseph Siao Ajipon, group chairman of Jospon Group of Companies. This sad event happened.
He also expressed the family's gratitude to Diana for accepting to honor their invitation.
Grateful for the kind words he has spoken of Dr. Ajipon, and also grateful for his assurance that come 10th September, inshallah, if all of us stay alive, we shall see him and his entourage.
Away from that, now the Electoral Commission has stated that it will not hesitate to impose sanctions on political parties that do not adhere to legal standards, such as being active across at least 2/3 of the nation. The license will be revoked and the names of non-compliant political parties will be removed from the EC's records as part of the punishment. Now, speaking on the subject, Hassan Ayariga, the presidential candidate for the All Progress Congress, thinks the EC's exercise will contribute to bringing sanity to the political landscape.
The Political Party Act demands that all political parties have branches in all regions and must be present in not less than 2/3 of the districts in each region, pursuant to the provision of the Political Parties Act 2000, Act 574. The EC is mandated to undertake an inspection of the offices of all the 30 registered political parties at the national, regional, and district levels. Speaking on the issue, presidential candidate Hassan Ayariga commended the EC for embarking on such exercises to bring sanity in the political space.
If they deem it necessary to crack the whip, because I'm sure they are looking for active political parties, because on the list of the EC we have almost 30 political parties in Ghana, but when it comes to contest we see like 10, 11 political parties contesting for the election. So that what it means is that we have so many dormant political parties that are not helping the system, and if they bring out this kind of ideas to crack the whip, many of the political parties become serious and become more active.
He said the APC has offices nationwide and does not think his party will be affected by the exercise.
And we don't think as a party we have a problem when it comes to political party office. Even as we went ahead to submit our audit account From 2016, we've been giving our audit account until 2022. So we have even given out our audit account to the EC.
Meanwhile, the General Secretary of the People's National Convention, Janet Nabla, called on the EC to make some considerations as it is expensive to run a political party in the country.
Look at the system of political parties we are running in Ghana. It's not easy. That we don't have government support, especially for the political parties that have never been in power for all these years. We don't have government support. We don't have our support coming from anywhere. It has been so hard. And we are talking about multi-party democracy, to be able to be neutral, to deal with the coming events of politics. You have to be formidable.
She has, however, urged the EC to work to ensure there is accountability in its electoral processes.
Although at times Electoral Commission will tell you that we are just an advisory body, so some decisions that we take, they will not take it into consideration. I remember NDC came up with something that they want IPAC to now be a legal basis, that when we make decisions, it should have a legal backing instead of just being an advisory body. And they said they will look into it. I think that if they look into it, it will be good, because I can't go to a meeting and all what I said, they will say I'm just advising. So I will advise, they will do what they want. I don't think it's fair. And I don't think that is the type of electoral commission that we want. We want a credible electoral commission that will give political parties the chance to make decisions and own up to those decisions.
Away from that, now the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Samuel Abujinapo, has commissioned a modernized community for residents of New Buin and New Accra in the Telensi district of the Upper East region. The community, which was constructed by the mining firm Cardinal Namdini Mining Limited, was in adherence with the Minerals and Mining Act of 2006, which enjoins mining companies to resettle persons who will be affected by their mining operations.
While assuring the residents and Ghanaians in general of government's determination to make mining firms act within the confines of the mining laws, and appealed to the communities to ensure proper maintenance of the facilities to benefit future generations. He appealed to the chiefs and residents of the communities to collaborate effectively with the firm to guarantee the sustainability of their operations, and also hope that the show of unity and cooperation exhibited in the resettlement process will be extended to the firm in their operations. The Lands Minister reaffirmed government's commitment to undertaking reforms in the mining sector that will increase avenues for Ghanaian participation in the mining space, adding that government intends to make Ghana a mining hub by establishing refinery centers and also ensuring efficient utilization of revenue for the mining sector.
It's going to happen in Digari and the Upper East region is really going to have a major positive impact on the socio-economic, political, and all other aspects of the lives of the people of Upper East region, and indeed the people of Digari. Even people who don't hail from here, or people who are not indigenous of this community, are going to benefit from this mining operation. This is huge, this is phenomenal, and this is what every community really prays for and wishes.
The Chief Executive Officer of Cardinal Namdini, Luis Santana, said the economic empowerment of community members is at the heart of the company's operation, and stressed that it is the strategic objective of the company to empower residents and activate projects and policies aimed at developing the socio-economic architecture of the communities.
Cardinal Namdini introduced the concept of sustainability to mitigate the impact of involuntary resettlement by putting in place a livelihood restoration and vulnerable assistance programs, which are aimed at economic empowerment and social enhancement of the project-affected people.
He disclosed that the company is working with an NGO called Widow and Orphans Movement to provide relevant support to residents as they transition through the resettlement phase.
We're going for another commercial break. Do stay. Now to some business news. There are reported incidences of fuel shortages at some fuel stations across the country. According to the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, this should be resolved in the next few days as petroleum tanker drivers meet distribution demands.
So from COPEC's investigation, there are a lot of products in the system. We don't have any import disruptions. However, because of the strike by the BRV drivers on Monday, they were not able to distribute products across the country. And that is why we are observing certain shortages at some of the retail outlets in Ghana. However, the strike has been called off, and we think that beginning today, products will be distributed across the country. We have observed that products loading started somewhere at 12 p.m. Today, and shorter distances, I think in about 3 hours, products will get to their destination, that is the retail outlets. At longer distances, maybe by tomorrow, products will get to these retail outlets. So between this evening and tomorrow by 12 p.m., any retail outlets in Ghana will have products. It took us a long time, rather, for almost 5 years to resolve a challenge that we could have used at least 3 months in resolving. So why should we people go to the banks to take loans, construct retail outlets, and then you tell them to put them on hold for almost 5 years without resolving an issue that should have been resolved in 3 months?
Now, the S&P Global Ghana Purchasing Managers Index for July has revealed a successive monthly deterioration in business conditions in Ghana.
Sustained declines in activity and subsequent reductions in backlogs led firms to cut their headcounts for the first time in 11 months. That said, output and new orders fell only slightly, at the softest rates for 7 and 5 months, respectively. Firms, meanwhile, maintained an optimistic view toward output amid hopes that global economic conditions will improve. Turning to prices, overall input costs continued to increase sharply amid higher fuel and raw material prices, although the rate of inflation eased notably from June and was the weakest since in February. Selling prices also rose at a softer pace, with the rate of increase easing to a 5-month low in July. The S&P Global Ghana Purchasing Managers Index posted a neutral value of 50 for the 6th month in succession, indicating a deteriorating in business conditions at 48.8 in July, up from 48.5 in June. The latest decline eased from that seen in the previous survey period and was the weakest for 5 months. Output fell again in July, a trend observed since the start of the year. The overall rate of contraction was fractional, however, and the weakest in the current 7-month sequence of decline. Firms continued to report weak demand conditions, though some respondents reported that price pressures started to moderate. After expanding in each of the previous 10 months, staffing levels at Ghanaian firms fell in July. The rate of decline was marginal. However, there were widespread reports of higher transportation, staff and fuel costs, as well as unfavorable exchange rates movements against the dollar.
There's more news after this break. To stay. Now, artist's first music streaming platform, Audiomack, has announced that it has tapped rising Ghanaian artist Black Sharif as its latest #AppNow artist. Now, #AppNow is Audiomack's emerging artist program that highlights what's next up in culture by spotlighting and promoting the next generation of global music superstars. Black Sherif will be featured on the cover of Audiomack's prestigious #AppNow playlist and will receive amplification across the platform's channels with specialized marketing, editorial, social support, playlisting, custom videos, and more. Well, that's it for entertainment news. Let's now take a look at stories making the international front.
The Senegalese government has signed a peace deal with rebels from the country's southern province of Casamance, which could bring about an end to a decades-long conflict. The Movement of Democratic Forces of Casamance has pledged to lay down at arms and work towards a permanent solution. The Senegalese president, Macky Sall, welcomed the agreement and thanked the president of Guinea-Bissau, Umaru Sissoko Embalo, for mediating tension.
Israel says it has arrested 19 members of the Palestinian group Islamic Jihad in raids across the occupied West Bank after carrying out airstrikes against the targets in Gaza. 11 people have been killed in the airstrikes, including a child and PIJ leader Taisser Jabari. Israel said the strikes followed an immediate threat from the group. Scores of rockets were fired from Gaza towards Israel overnight, most of them intercepted, Israel's military said.
Well, this is where we bring an end to the media news on Metro Television. We came to you live from the Kuya Mboyoma studios. My name is Harriet Adi. Have a great day and enjoy the rest of our programs.